Good morning. This is Normandy Ellis, and I'm interviewing Reverend Wahna Irvine, and we are in her seance room at her home. So good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Normandy. I'm glad to have this opportunity to share with everyone today.
Thank you. One thing we have asked most of the mediums that we've interviewed is how it came to pass that they wound up at Camp Chesterfield. So if you would like to start there.
I will. Of course, for me, it may be somewhat different than some of the others because my mother and teacher, Reverend Louise, was here for 50-some years. That really doesn't say what got me here, but this has always been the home away from home. I came in through the gate about 20 years ago as a little week sabbatical where I could lunch with my mother and take some classes, which I thought would be very good for me, and kind of a bonding week with my mother. What a great opportunity. So I snuck away from my work in Fort Wayne and came through those gates in April of 1997. And little did I know that my life would be so changed. The classes, the camaraderie, the wonderful ability to know that you can still learn is pretty special. And it was like, and many students will recognize this too. Oh my gosh, I have come home. I've come home. There's a familiarity about the peacefulness and the love, and students that you've never knew that you feel like you really connect with. And so it just, it didn't set me on a path for ministry. It set me on a path that I knew I would be back in August.
Right. And so you just kept coming from that time on?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, who were some of the other students that you met when you came here?
Well, of course, through our class, our development class, is where the strongest bonds were built over time. And you know, I'm telling you, it goes, the backbone of our camp truly is that group of students that all studied here in this very room under the tutelage of Reverend Louise. And so we're talking about Reverend Terry Ryan, we're talking about Reverend Glenda Cataract, Reverend Betty Dorsch Zamakis, and Sandy Kuiper, Reverend Jim Hafer. We were, there are many that still offer support to our camp, that we all were here together and studied in this room. But let me tell you, there were a lot of students that didn't study. We weren't in the, but Reverend Rebecca Watson and I started together. My beautiful ordination sister, oh my gosh, and you know what's terrible? I loved her dearly, and we don't get to see each other very often. She studied in here too. It's terrible, no, I can't.
It'll come back. So, but you get to share the platform with several of these people now who still serve this church.
You certainly do. Yes.
Yeah.
I
certainly
do.
That's always a thrill.
Yeah, one of my favorite, well, they're all my favorites. But Reverend Glenda and I, when we get to do double trance off platform, is one of the absolute most wonderful times that we have together. Yes. But I love to, you know, as I was thinking about all of these things today, who in the past made an impact. The older mediums that served when we were students, that, well, not older medium, but accomplished, shall I say, platform mediumship, that we would go and see, that just absolutely helped us form our own abilities.
Tell me about some of those people.
And I would have to say Reverend Shirley Schrogi, Reverend Wynn, those were accomplished platform mediums. Reverend Mother, of course, and I'm also thinking about, gosh, ones that aren't here anymore. Johnson.
Lillian D.
Lillian, I never got to see work, but her daughter.
And did she do stand-up clairvoyance, or what was she most known for?
Blindfold billets. Okay. Blindfold billets. That was a demonstration that was amazing to see. True.
If someone has never seen blindfold billets, can you tell a little bit about just what it entails to do that?
Well, yeah, but that's not what we're not demonstrating that from platform
Anymore.
And no, and so I really would like to speak, I think, moreover on mediumship demonstration, clairvoyant mediumship, and some of the gifts that are involved in that, flower messages, flame messages. Everything is still clairvoyant mediumship, but the tools really add a wonderful perspective. But we still have to go back to bottom line. We're still working with spirit and spirit messages, and so we've seen that so prevalent in the early years when we came in, and so you had great mentors up there that we watched that helped to hone our own skill as mental mediums.
Right. So, did you sit with Shirley Schrogi?
One class, one seminary, my very first seminary, in that April of '97, my mother's Reverend Louise's development class, I needed a little, because I'd never sat in a development class, and Shirley had a lot of new people in her class, and so Mother called Shirley and said, would you let Wahna in that class? And of course she did. And so that was my first development class with Reverend Shirley Schrogi. And many of you out there won't have had a chance to ever have seen her serve platform, but she was magnificent and her work was stunning, and so she was a good mentor.
That's great. So, I'm curious to know how your gifts of clairvoyance developed. You didn't walk in knowing how to do this, so can you speak a little bit about that?
You know, I truly have to say, as I step back, I'm a fourth generation medium healer, and so in my early years, 6 years old, I remember my family, my grandfather and mother and grandma and friends would get together and turn the lights off in the living room and give messages to each other. And so when they were congregating, it just inspired me so that I wanted to give messages. And I can remember my mother would say, you can give one and then to your room. And so, yes, I came through the gate, and I had not done this work. Knew all about it. but there's a big difference between knowing and understanding your whole life. Spiritualism, no one dies. There's life after life. Personal responsibility is the biggie overall, personal responsibility. And so my life was lived under all the auspices of really what it is. And if everything is put down to a bottom line, it's personal responsibility. I came through to get some much needed through these gates because I wanted some much needed refreshment in my life. And boy, did I get it. I didn't come with the intent of beginning to study mediumship and give messages. I came to the fountain on the mountain for refreshment.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
And so if I had anything going for me, I believe this work. I always did. I don't question the work, and I don't question the ability to do this work.
Right.
And so for some, they struggle with thinking they maybe can't do it. I did not have that problem. That didn't give me a leg up. I've had to study very hard. And then, of course, if your mother is well known, you have to study even harder. But yeah, no, it's my journey has been one of great self-fulfillment, of peace, of a joyful life.
It's wonderful.
A joyful life.
Can you tell me a little bit about, I'm trying to make sure this is going. Can you tell me a little bit about the other places where you sat in circle once you began this work? Who did you sit with besides Reverend Louise?
No one.
You sat with her primarily?
Always.
Okay. You also mentioned that, or we did, that this seance room is the oldest on the grounds. So can you speak
The
a
oldest
little bit?
still in operation.
Okay.
Yeah, never has it set still. I have the abstract, and so I've run this abstract through, and in 1918, Ethel Post Parrish came into this house, and she had it until the early 40s when Reverend Clifford Bias then took possession of the house. They were both physical mediums. Reverend Clifford Bias truly is set up the strong education program here at Camp Chesterfield. Also was president here. So it's really referred to quite often as the president's house.
Mm-hmm.
In around the early 70s, then he invited, he didn't invite, he instructed Reverend Louise that she would be purchasing his home as he was going east and setting up some new things and programs in his life. And so it was kind of funny because that was an era of when you didn't ask to purchase a home. You were contacted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened. And he said, "You will be buying my home." And my beautiful father, who was my mother's wonderful PR man, seen to it that that all happened. And so she was here from that time on, almost 50 years that this was her room. But I always want to explain to everyone how I ever managed to have the blessing of being able to serve. All three of those that lived in this room were physical mediums. I am a mental medium, and to this point, not being able to demonstrate any physical mediumship that could be publicly publicly demonstrated. That's for sure. But the room itself is a true entity of peace, healing, education. And so even if no one was in here and you came and just sat in the room, it's so conducive for healing and unfoldment within itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about how you are also a healer and you were trained to do that. Could you tell us a little bit about how
Yes,
that
I
came
went
about?
through, I've always had a true affinity with healing. I look at it all different now, maybe than I did 20 years ago. But mind-body practice, holistic work has always been deep within my spirit. So that was my very first step out. I'm Spiritual Healing 1 and Spiritual Healing 2. I am going to be certified as a spiritual healer. And so that's where my, shall I say, foundational work came, is right here at camp. And the fundamentals, the very basic, is spiritual healing, laying on of hands. And so from there, I have our thirst for a better understanding and more knowledge in the holistic fields of healing. And so I studied reflexology at the Omega Institute under the direction of Bob Wolf, and because I always thought I would like to do massage therapy, but that's what I was able to go for, and love that very, very much. And again, everything that you do, whether it's mediumship or walking through the grocery store, we're healers. Through the word, just through your energy. And so consequently, I begin to know and understand that every word you speak, every thought you think, affects all things around you. And so really, again, personal responsibility. This is about our path. This is about the better we are, then automatically the better things are around us. And so it isn't about going out and healing the world or saving the world. It's about healing ourselves and saving ourselves. And so within that scope, then we automatically change the world. And so from there, I then went back to the Omega Institute and I studied with Dr. Roger Yanka on Qigong and Tai Chi. And so profound healing, it grows, and to this day, I hope that I am never done. But the tools that I've received along the way, whether it is Reiki, and there I took all of that, and I teach Reiki here at camp. And so what do we say? There is one great divine healing power and thousands of modalities, many, many names to that one healing energy. And but I love the differences. And so, and the tools that I have learned that I can share with someone who comes in and sits in my chair, that they can go home and not need me. Right. They can use some tools that I have give them or shared with them, should they choose, to help themselves. And so that's the sign of a good healer or teacher, is to lift your people where they don't need you anymore. True. You give them everything that you can, and so that they can manage without hanging on to your skirt.
Okay, so one of the things that we have here at camp, I know, is the Mother Cabrini room.
Yes.
Can you speak to that?
I sure will. We have, throughout camp, I think, many great affinity for Mother Cabrini. She was a wonderful sister, mother here in the United States, and her legacy is untold about her abilities. And so they put the Mother Cabrini room in at our the art gallery, and I utilized that when I was teaching Reiki, and we have our attunements. I would take each student individually into the Mother Cabrini room to attune them to their level. It is and has been known throughout the time that it has been there to assist many who just go and sit. Breathe the energy of that beautiful room and of the essence, the spirit of Mother Cabrini. Reach out and ask, and she will assist you. It's been and it continues to be a true asset to camp.
I know you love these grounds very much. Are there places on these grounds that you find a lot of energy?
Yeah, I have a great love. The ground is all beautiful energy. I don't care where you go on grounds, you receive. I have my special spots, too. I love Jesus. Upon entering our gates, you look to your right, and welcoming with love and peace is our beautiful statue of Jesus. And I think for many, because a tremendous amount of all of us have had some Christian heritage in our life. And so it's very welcoming, because there are some that come on grounds with expectation that it's, ooga booga hoo-ha. And all of a sudden you see the stability. Wait a minute. Now that doesn't go to say that we're religious fanatics, Christianity, no. Because as you move through the grounds, then you begin to see many different, especially through our trailer religion. And so there are, again, just like in healing, one divine energy, we have one great energy. We have many diverse, that's the beauty of spiritualism, the diversity. We have our fundamentals, 9 principles and definitions, and from there we have great diversity. And that's the beauty to me. That has been the beauty in my life of spiritualism, the great diversity. I call it the buffet. This beautiful buffet. And, you can go along, and that doesn't look so good, but this I embrace. And so there are many maybe that think that's pretty willy-nilly, and it's not. It is a great foundation. And so I love the beckoning, the absolute peacefulness when the minute I pull in, there he is. Okay. And my other is the labyrinth, which is our newest sacred place. But it has brought a dynamic into camp. very different from walking and viewing our sacred spots. This one, you partake.
It's interactive.
Yes, yeah. Stand in there, and it's walking meditation. Ask for what you wish, and it will provide. Non-judgmental, neutral. And so even if you cannot walk it, you can set beside it. You receive that which that's what you need.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that Kuan Yin is right across from that.
Yes, the Blessed World Mother also. And I got tickled because I was thinking about, well, it's not Eastern Drive, but along the walkway, over the years, I have trimmed, cleaned, fixed Kuan Yin. I love her area there. And so when I think about the sacred spaces that I love so much, I think, oh my gosh, they're all over here. Well, through the years, I have cared for each one of them. So, no wonder.
Right.
That it's Kuan Yin, it's the labyrinth, and we go down to the Blessed Mother, and then we move right on to Jesus. And so they are I
Right.
love this. But don't ever step back away from that wonderful, our trail of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And the grotto prayer, I used that a lot when I was here early, in the very early years. I loved the grotto. So I love our Native American, the foundation, here at camp, the sacredness of the grounds here at camp. We cannot underestimate the absolute strength and beauty that the Native Americans still take interest in our grounds.
Right. There's some idea that perhaps these are part of a mounds structure here, and so that energy is...
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that's... They're within throw a stone. And so, however these grounds were utilized, they have always been sacred ground. And no matter what life brings about, this area will always be sacred ground.
Right. Do you think that the reason students come here now is the same as the reason that you came? I mean, are we still coming for the same essences?
The what brings someone through this gate is as diverse. But once they get through the gate, then the stories begin to go like, wow, all right, what gets you here, or what gets our students here, are many, many, many different, it's not the same reason that they managed to find this. The best kept secret in the state of Indiana is Camp Chesterfield. But now with the new era, we're opening up, and more are beginning to find this place. So the reason that they come through varied, and no two are alike because none of us are alike. But once they got through the gate, I think that the awesomeness of camp, of the peaceful, loving energy of these grounds, I believe that each and every person would say pretty much that same thing. Oh, I can't wait to get back.
What are some of your favorite, I don't know exactly how to phrase it, services or things that you do as a minister?
Oh, well, healing. I love the healing service. I love the healing work. But then you think, oh, okay, everything we do is healing work. I absolutely love serving platform And we always laugh and say, you know, we're always going, well, I hope Spirit's right here with me, and messages do well, and but that to serve, to serve, to serve.
When I asked that question, I have this very vivid image of you during ordination services, lighting the candles.
Oh, yeah, the great acolyte, or the old lamplighter. Yes,
But
yeah,
there's so
yeah.
much
That's a
intention in that movement where you do that.
yeah. That's special, and just
Yes.
is, always will be.
That's being a light bearer.
Yeah, for sure. That is such a beautiful and sacred service to have a part in that each and every time, now for a very, very long time, is beautiful.
Now, your mother, how many ordinations did she do?
Oh, over her tenure here, oh my, I have no idea. Many, many, many,
Yeah.
many, 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 many.
Tell me, I know she was your mother, but as your teacher, tell me some of the most important lessons that you learned from her.
In the early, of course, I started studying with her 20 years ago, but I've been under her tutelage for 71 years. And I was thinking about that earlier today. What if I had to say anything? I would say personal responsibility, and that falls under the line as long back as I can remember. You know, buck up and get it together, because nobody out there is going to do it for you. And so she had I always knew one way or another in my life that she was there to be my teacher before I ever got here. That obviously I had that mothering thing in another lifetime, and when I come in this time, I needed a stern teacher, a loving, very, very much so. But I needed that stability in a mother, and I received it. And so it really comes down to that strength of personal responsibility, and don't blame anybody for where you're at or what you're doing. Get yourself in order.
That's right.
Oh, okay, okay. And that was throughout my life. And I had a big family. I have 5 children and my own business. And life would get pretty tough sometimes. But believe me, she would get you righted if you needed it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, I'm wondering if there's anything else you can tell us about Reverend Louise, because she's kind of one of the reasons I decided we needed to do this project. She passed before I was able to interview her.
Yeah.
Perhaps this is a strange question, but what would she want people to know were she speaking this?
Well, when I think about this, because I walked the circle this morning, and all right, Mama, we're going to be speaking. I shall be speaking in your behalf, in dedication to this work. I think that if we were talking about her legacy, you look around camp. Many of the people that are going to view this never had the opportunity to sit with Louise or to study with her. And what I want to say in her behalf is look around camp. the teachers and strength of administration here at camp. These are all students and accomplished mediums and ministers that all studied. Within each and every one of them are a little bit of her. And that's her legacy. The backbone of camp, the teaching, the development of mediums, the strong teachers here grew up under her tutelage.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Glenda, Reverend Terry, myself, Reverend Susie Greer and Reverend Wynne Schroge and Reverend Shirley Schroge studied in this very room with Louise, Reverend Linda Ritchie, and so it would go forth to say, you know her because you know her students.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a strength and a camaraderie within this group of mediums here on grounds because we have a common bond. And her dedication and tenacity is truly brought forth in all of her students.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about Camp Chesterfield, the iOS, what's good for camp first and foremost, and you find that that dedication and tenacity in all of her students.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Okay. If someone were considering coming to camp, what would you say to them? If they were thinking about, oh, why should I come to camp? Why is spiritualism
well, the first thing I
important?
would say is, now don't be concerned because you don't have to be a member. You don't even have to interact with anyone. You can drive on grounds, park your car, and stroll our grounds and benefit from the beauty of the grounds and see how that's a fit for you. You receive beautiful healing refreshment just to walk our grounds. And so a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to be long. It's open and you can come in and enjoy it. I would say, oh, zip right into the bookstore and enjoy the wonderful opportunity to browse through our bookstore, pick up a book. Even before you get here, go to our website. You'll get a comfortable feeling before you ever step on grounds that you kind of have an idea of what we're like. But there is no substitute for putting your feet on these grounds and just strolling around and see what comes about for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to tell us as a closing thought?
Oh my goodness. I am thankful for the opportunity to be a part of this group, but to be a part of all of this. It's what keeps you vital in life. There is a beautiful working with spirit, healing work, or whatever we're doing. There is a vitality within us. When you come in on ground, I'll tell you, you will see people that are the enthusiasm for life. Bubbles over for us, and it will for you too when you choose to come and partake of just whatever it is that you need. You begin to find a new enthusiasm for yourself, and that's what it's all about.
Thank you.
So thank you, and thank you, Normandy. You're kind and gracious.
Thank you so much.